Right. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that tragic, fateful day, you were 21.
So just before I start, my dog's going to start barking, everyone, because there's dusty men coming. She's a bit loud.
It's funny, before you go there, can you remember that video that went viral? It was a BBC News or Sky News or something that went out to the world, and there was a guy talking, being interviewed, and then his little kids come in the back, and then his nanny, in fact, it turned out it was his wife, not his nanny, was like pulled him back. And it went viral. Can you remember that? So I think your dog barking's cool. I think we're good. I know what you mean. Sorry.
That's all right. No, that's all right. I just wanted to explain it in case you hear some barking. Okay, so I don't know what to say, really. My parents had got divorced. I was at university, so they'd got divorced perhaps in the 2 years. So I was 21, and I think I was 19 when they got divorced. At the same time, I left home to go to university. So my brother went to live with my dad and worked with my dad. My dad ran his own business in Cambridge.
Yes.
My brother was obviously like leaving school age 17, and he went that way. And my sister, who was 14 at the time that they split up, went to live with my mum as she was still at school. So the family just kind of split, and we'd been used to being very together. So it was an unusual situation. But of course, for me, I was out of it in Derby. I was at university. I was doing teacher training, English and PE. And that it was kind of okay. But because of that, my dad was like, woohoo, I can get a motorbike, of course. You know, he was 46, which is younger than I am now. And I always find that quite weird to say that. It's like he was 46.
Yeah,
anyway,
I can imagine.
He got the motorbike, and my brother started to learn his little moped thing. And anyway, one day they were going to see my nan in Clapton. So this was 2 years later, and this is a bit of a weird.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's all right.
I haven't even asked a question. Are you okay talking about this? I don't want to.
Yeah, I'm fine. Like it's funny, grief, because of course it brings, I feel emotion, of course, but it will hit me completely out of the blue. So I'm usually fine. Like I'm saying that I might not be. So if I get emotional, I'll warn you, but it'll be okay if I am.
You're amongst love, yes. Yeah.
It is what it is, and I'm sure I'm not the only person who's gone through trauma or grief. But anyway, my brother and dad had decided to go and see my nan, and they had a crash on the way to my nan's in Clapton. And my brother lived for 2 hours, but, obviously died before anyone could get to him. As in the hospital, like no one knew how to get hold of my mum. And my dad ended up in intensive care. And I got a phone call from my sister at midnight telling me what happened. And I reacted as one would imagine, in that I kind of had this primal, raw scream. And then I grabbed all my photos of my brother, which were all over my wall anyway. He'd only been up to see me 2 weeks previously, and drove straight home and to Colchester. So from Derby to Colchester to my mum's house. And then I thought I kind of clicked into this sort of, I've got to take care of everyone. And so then I went to identify his body and subsequently looked after my dad and So that's kind of like the night of the day, which was July the 2nd, 1993. And my life completely changed that day. Completely and utterly changed.
I can only imagine. Where on earth do you go from there? Like you see, you drove from where you were to go and identify the body, but you just kind of clicked into survival mode, I'm guessing. Some your spirit or something kind of took over. I think, right, I've got to drive. I've got to be present enough.
Oh, no, it didn't happen when I drove. I drove like a mad lunatic. And thank God in those days they didn't have speed cameras. Because I was like, get me. Like, I was like on a mission. I was with the boyfriend that I had at the time, who was absolutely amazing. And it was basically walking into my mother's home with my sister. It was then that something just sort of went, and I can't even explain to you what it was. It was just this absolute, right, you need to look after these people now, kind of. I don't know. Who knows?